For those of you who haven't seen the 1979 movie Being There, which will be most of you, it's a very clever satirical comedy that has a lot in common with the films of Stanley Kubrick. It stars Peter Sellers as a gardener named Chance who has been isolated from the world all his life and whose knowledge of the world has been shaped almost entirely by what he's watched on television. The man who kept Chance locked up in his home since childhood dies, and so Chance becomes homeless. Through a bizarre set of circumstances, Chance's ramblings about how to look after a garden are taken by America's leading businessmen and politicians as a metaphor for the economy, and so Chance accidentally works his way up the power ranks of American society and towards the presidency. Now, I'm not going to offer a full study of the movie here, as I'm saving that for another video. Instead, I'm just going to draw your attention to one sequence which uncannily parallels an interpretation of 2001: A Space Odyssey, which I posted many years ago, called The Meaning of the Monolith Revealed. In this sequence, Chance, who has just stepped out into the real world for the first time and is embarking on a big adventure that will take him to the halls of power in Capitol Hill, is accompanied by a funk version of Thus Spake Zarathustra. The same musical piece, without the funk overtones of course, is heard at the beginning and end of 2001: A Space Odyssey as a musical metaphor of intellectual rebirth and enlightenment. Now, in Being There, the crescendo of the music has Chance stopping before a shop window where, for the first time in his life, he isn't just watching others on television, but he can actually see himself. With his remote control, he tries to change the channel, but he can't. He's now stuck in the real world. But look at the backdrop in the shop window. It's the surface of the moon, and on the left is a distant image of the moon's cratered surface. So we have a strong visual and auditory connection to 2001: A Space Odyssey that can't easily be passed off as coincidence. Now, in my video Meaning of the Monolith Revealed, I presented a detailed argument that in 2001 the monolith actually represents the screen on which the viewer is watching the film, be it a cinema screen or even just a home television set, and that all the viewer has to do is tilt their head 90 degrees to spot the parallel with the shape of the monolith. Hence the movie starts with a 90-degree tilted view of a sunrise, and the Stargate tunnel shifts its dimensions from horizontal to vertical, and so on. See my video on the topic for a very detailed breakdown. Midway through 2001, a monolith is seen standing upright on the moon's surface, and so in the movie Being There we have a big television screen on the moon's surface as we hear Thus Spake Zarathustra. And it's this moment of revelation, this reality shift from observer of the world to participant in the world, that causes Chance to be injured by a limousine backing up, which in turn leads him to a rich woman and her influential husband, and thus secures his journey to the halls of power. But the parallels go further. In my full article and some of my other videos about 2001, I also described that the monolith as a symbol of the movie screen or TV set also represents a mirror through which the audience can watch themselves as intellectual apes about to start an evolutionary journey of intellectual rebirth. Kubrick used a similar metaphor by showing a mirror on the poster of Eyes Wide Shut, a film which was all about our little relationship infidelity secrets, and, well, I think we can all see eye to eye on that one. The mirror parallel in 2001: A Space Odyssey is most prominent at the ending. When Bowman is making his transformational rebirth, he begins by seeing himself in a mirror, and then sees himself repeatedly in the third person, just as Chance does on the TV set in Being There. In 2001, the camera finally breaks the fourth wall, and thus allows the astronaut and we the audience to exit the hotel and the film narrative via the monolith. Or it could be argued that we enter a new film narrative in which we become players in the real world rather than just observers of TV screens. Again, this parallels Chance's transformational moment. So that's it. I'll be putting together a full study of the movie Being There in the near future, so if you haven't seen the film, I suggest you get yourself a copy. In fact, it's so good that if you slapped Stanley Kubrick's name on it, it would easily fit in with the rest of his filmography. Seriously, it's that good. Thanks for watching. More videos on the way soon, and don't forget to check out my full selection of digital downloads and free articles and videos at collativelearning.com. And before I go, here's one last little interesting detail in the same scene. See the lower right TV in the window? Are those nuclear explosions or footage of rockets and space exploration? Think Doctor Strangelove and 2001.